We are all natural-born storytellers, whether you think of yourself that way or not. The stories that mold and shape our lives oftentimes become foundational parts of our growth, healing, and even generational experiences. Welcome to Awaken Your Soul Sunday, a storytelling series that shares the moments of awakening, trials and tribulations, truth, and vulnerability in the words and voice of the featured storyteller. And now, a life-changing story from this week's guest.
Hello, beautiful souls listening. Thank you for tuning in. This is Lucy Liu. Well, maybe not the Lucy Liu you see in action movies or on TV, but definitely a Lucy Liu I hope you'll remember for the rest of your life, because my intention is to inspire you, to ignite a little spark in you, to inspire a little more hope in you. Because flicker of hope can catapult you into great heights. So growing up in Los Angeles and being so close to Hollywood, when I was in middle school, I took acting lessons and signed with a casting agency. Every single time I went to an audition, the casting director would run out, excited that Lucy Liu was on their list. But their disappointment at seeing me instead was so obvious. Oh, it's not the Lucy Liu. Is a phrase that continues to ring in my ears decades later. But I love my name and even decided to keep it after marriage. Still, the limiting belief of my name, Lucy Liu, stuck with me for years. Someone out there was already exceedingly legendary by the same name. So surely I would always be nobody. I thought to myself, you certainly don't see another famous Julia Roberts or Angelina Jolie out there. Right? It just doesn't happen. And what's worse is I absolutely adore this women people who refer to as the Lucy Liu. She is exceptionally talented as an artist, actress, director. So while I can't blame her, I don't want to sabotage myself either. The struggle was real. This difficulty with my name was my biggest hindrance as I grew up. But as I took a deep dive in personal development, I learned that this was a limiting belief. So what exactly is a limiting belief? The answer is, it's a false belief that we acquire as a result of making an incorrect conclusion about something in life, much like I did about my name. My life changed when I finally embraced the discomfort and stared at my fears and limiting beliefs head on. I practiced acceptance, knowing that fighting any emotion would magnify that exact emotion. Your limiting belief might look something different, whether you think you're not good enough or something in your life, whether personal or business, that's just not right. Trust me when I say that when you shift your mindset to be more acceptant and abundant, you'll start experiencing a heightened level of awareness, happiness, and wisdom. And I have so many stories to tell. For example, I saw someone drown in front of me when I was 5 years old. And ever since that day, I was afraid to swim. But throughout my practice as a business and life coach, my job is to help my clients shatter their own limiting beliefs. So I am constantly checking in with myself. What other limiting beliefs can I break next? And I knew that swimming was one of them. I need to walk the walk and break my own fear. So after 30-something years of not being able to swim, one day I just did it. Mindset is a moment-to-moment shift. It only takes one decision. I talked about this story and many other stories in episode 43 of the Master Your Mind and Business and Life podcast. So if you haven't heard me tell my other stories, be sure to head back to episode 43 where I talked about transforming your life. I also discussed with Lauren about my other journeys of growth, how to handle stress, how I keep myself motivated, and also about mindful parenting. Now that episode was about 2 years ago. Since then, in order to release my limiting belief of having the same name as a celebrity, and also my other limiting belief that my English isn't good enough, I decided to launch my own podcast. Even though I grew up in LA and graduated from a prestigious university, because I'm not born American, I always had this little voice inside of me that told me my English isn't good enough. So once I decided to launch my own podcast, of course, fear snuck up to me tight. What if people think I'm not qualified to have a podcast? What if people think I was writing off the success of her name? Right? We know who I'm talking about. What if people judge me or believe I think I'm better than them? What if I have 0 listeners? What if I get bad reviews? The list went on and on forever. Then, of course, immediately I remembered what I'd been preaching and blasting over my guest podcast interviews I'd joined. I need to reframe this situation. There is always a way, and I have the power to opposite these negatives into positives, just like you do. You have the power to turn any negative in your life right now into positives. So what if people actually relate to my story? I am an ex-nobody, ex-perfectionist, an ex-overachiever. There must be people out there like me. What if my listeners can't wait to tune in every week to my latest episode? Just like how I love to tune in and turn it up with Lauren. What if I get messages from listeners about how helpful I was to their life? And indeed, I did get those messages after I launched. The more I thought about the possibilities, the more determined I was to make this my reality. And indeed, that's exactly what I did. I launched my podcast and just called it The Lucy Liu Show. Oh, and by the way, I invite you to tune in to The Lucy Liu Show and search for episode 18, where you can hear Lauren's sweet voice where she talks about knowing your power and self-worth. Such a fun conversation. Now that I look back on those past years, I realized that the constant crush of my self-confidence actually made me more confident. I learned an extremely valuable life lesson early on to pick myself up from the floor when I fall. After all, life doesn't get easier. We merely get stronger and more resilient. Our life journey will always be decked out with pain, risk, laughter, and joy. Honor each season of life. Since we can't pick any season in life, might as well enjoy the whole experience. Life is an all-inclusive ride. And learning to acknowledge that fact is that there will always be uncertainty. And uncertainty will allow our experiences to be more meaningful and joyful regardless of what life throws us. Just like 2020. Oh boy, even this unshakable optimist was shaken. I definitely have to say it was one of my low years. But the lesson I got out of 2020 was to let go of the need for certainty. As human beings, our intellect always longs for clarity and certainty. But the true reality is we often find ourselves in uncertainty. I've learned to have patience with everything that remains unsolved in your heart. Uncertainty is the only true certainty there is. And knowing how to live with these insecurities is the only security you truly have. So I challenge you to make the mindset shift from you are doomed, not knowing what's ahead, to the new mindset of there are endless possibilities ahead. And that makes uncertainty truly fascinating. I used to hate aging, but now I enjoy aging because of the wisdom that comes with. How you react to things will determine the transformation of your life and soul. Use this special time of uncertainty as your compass towards new growth ahead. I absolutely believe that there is always a way and everything is happening for the best. I've learned that the ability to embrace our uncertainties is the only way to our true freedom. When nothing is certain, anything is possible. What I wish for you is to do what energizes you for a living and wake up each day with a smile on your face because another chance of rebirth has been given to you. Feel alive because this world needs more alive. As a loving wife, motivated mother, and easygoing entrepreneur, motivational speaker, I now make it my mission to help women go from feeling stuck to full clarity with rock star confidence. Because when we know ourselves, because it becomes easier to live a life that's true to our core values. List down your values and priorities because it's your life. Design it accordingly. Everyone has fire inside of them. Don't ignore your spark. Awaken your soul and live a thriving life. So remember how I said I always felt my English isn't good enough. So obviously, along with that comes the thought that I'm a bad writer. Even though I always had straight A's in English class, I always thought of myself as a bad writer. But one of my hidden dreams was to be an author so that I can inspire more lives. After launching my podcast, I kept the momentum of breaking my limiting fears going. I co-authored in 2 books. One is called The Rising Sisterhood. Another is called Asian Women Who Boss Up. And guess what? Both of these books hit #1 international bestseller on Amazon. If I did not make the decision to embody that version of me that I want to be, none of this would happen. I have unshakable faith that I was called on earth to make some good contributions. And I do everything with the intention of, even if I just help the life of one listener, one reader, I will do so for the rest of my life because I have made a positive contribution to the world. And so will you too. Your life truly changes the exact moment you make a new, aligned, and determined decision. And only you have the power to make that decision. And sometimes it's these smallest decisions that can change our lives forever. May your soul be awakened to your true potential and live the life of your dreams. So if you resonate with anything I said, come say hello on social media, everywhere at Miss Lucy Liu, MSLucyliu. More blessings are coming your way.
For more information on this week's guest, visit the episode notes section on mindbizlife.com. And if you'd like to share your story with us, click on the Awaken Your Soul tab on mindbizlife.com and fill out the submission form. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend and be sure to give the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you tune in and turn it up. Join me on Wednesday for more life mastery conversations, but until then, remember, every level of life is an opportunity to grow. Be well, my friend.